We are sorry, the screens, we do have the screens in the room, but we did not know that we needed to connect them, and we think we can connect them during the break because it will take some more minutes to connect them. Thank you.
Mr. Are you coming from Parliament? I wanted to check if he's coming from Parliament. Is the person from Parliament? Are you coming from Parliament? Can the person from Parliament come here and explain why there are no screens here?
Good morning. My name is Sizwe. My name is Sizwe from Broadcasting. Sorry, we're only deployed to broadcast on YouTube, which is what we are doing. Screens are another department. We're not informed of that. But the gentleman from here has made an arrangements. We can provide him the feed and then he can display it on the screens. Thank
you. Look, we will live with your explanation, but it is inadequate because we have been told that you sent him here about 2 weeks ago to make an assessment of this facility. And the fact that the GCIS official has confirmed that there are screens available here, they will be connected during break. Means that it's something that your team, when it was here, was supposed to have taken care of that. We will accept that as an omission on your part, and you will find a way to correct it. I don't think you must be crucified for that. But it must be a learning experience to you that this is one aspect that you should have checked when you came to do a visit here in the past weeks. Honorable Matthias, is your hand up?
Yes, Chair, just quickly, they reported that they've only been procured to broadcast on YouTube. Does this mean our proceedings are not on the Parliament channel, on DSTV? Or is it just YouTube? Because YouTube costs people data opposed to DSTV, just for clarity.
Honorable Ngola.
No, thanks, Chair. I just wanted to request you to check on our behalf because the person in front of us says she is Puleng Timpane. In the statement, it's written Patricia Timpane. So if you can check on our behalf if Puleng Timpane and Patricia Timpane is the same person. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Yes, can we deal with that question of public interest? Whether the proceedings are streamed live on a Parliament channel. It's like I'm talking to myself.
Sorry, Chair, it's all Parliament platforms, including 408 and...
So the public are able to follow the proceedings from here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Look, this is something that you will agree with me that it's something that we do not have to do. We don't have to delay proceedings even to deal with matters like this. Lieutenant Timpani, what are your full names?
Thank you, Chair. I am Lieutenant General Puleng Patricia Dimpani.
Puleng Patricia Dimpani.
Yes, Chair.
Are you fine, honorable members? Honorable Malim, Honorable Ngola, may we proceed? Thank you so much. Let me make those statements that I wanted to make before oath is administered. That you have been invited before this ad hoc committee, which is investigating allegations that were made by Police Commissioner in the KwaZulu-Natal province, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, on that day of 6 July 2025. The purpose is for you to assist the committee in its oversight work. You will be expected to give a testimony here. The allegations include, among others, unlawful disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team, the PKTT, or NPKTT, the alleged moratorium on the filling of vacancies within the South African Police Services, the SAPS, and alleged corrupt relationship between senior leadership within the SAPS and members of the public, as well as political interference in the work of the SAPS. Lieutenant General Dimpani, in extending invitation, the ad hoc committee chairperson has indicated to you that you may provide such information to the committee if you so wish under oath in terms of powers, privileges, and immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act 2004. And please be informed that by law you are required to answer fully and satisfactorily all questions lawfully put to you, or to produce any document that you are required to produce in connection with the subject matter of inquiry, notwithstanding the fact that the answer or the document could incriminate you or expose you to criminal or civil proceedings or even damages. Please note that you are, however, protected in that the evidence given under oath or affirmation before a House or a Committee of Parliament may not be used against you in any court or place outside Parliament. And that is why we had to declare this facility a parliamentary precinct before we proceed. Except in criminal proceedings concerning a charge of perjury or a charge relating to the evidence or documents required in these proceedings. Once again, please be aware that in terms of Section 17(2) of the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act, any person who willfully furnishes a House or a Committee of Parliament with information or makes a statement before it which is false or misleading commits an offense and is liable to a fine or imprisonment to a period not exceeding 2 years. You will be required to take an oath or affirmation. Which one do you elect?
I will take an oath, Chair.
Thank you so much. If you choose to take an oath, you will then follow me as I dictate. You say "I" and mention your full names.
I, Lieutenant General Puleng Patricia Dimpani,
Swear that the evidence I shall give
swear that the evidence I shall give
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you so much. We are done with this part. I'm handing over to you, SC, and I want to wish both of you good luck in leading evidence. We shall run until we break at 13 hours.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, honourable members. As indicated earlier, my colleague, Ms. Sikalala, will lead the evidence of General Ntempane this morning. Thank you.
Or is it your advocate, Zikala?
Good morning, Chair. Yes.
Thank you so much. Welcome.
Good morning, committee members. Good morning, General Ntempane.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm okay, and you?
I'm all right, thanks. I just want to deal with one matter of housekeeping in relation to General Ntempane's statement. Can I just confirm that members have before her statement, but it was also accompanied by a set of annexures. I understand that those annexures are made available electronically. Can I just get confirmation that the electronic annexures have been made available? Okay. General Ntempane, I see that you have brought some people with you from the SAPS. Could you introduce them to the committee?
Thank you, Chair. I do have Major General Ramorena Tswai from our legal department in SAPS. Next to her is Major General Matlo. She's the Chief Risk Officer in SAPS. Then I have Brigadier Fansel. He works in my office and responsible for budget management in my office. Then I have Warrant Officer Lekau, who is assisting me with driving as well as protection duties for the CFO.
Thank you. General Ntempane, maybe as a way of kicking off, you stated paragraph 7 of your statement that you joined the SAPS in 2007 as a lateral hire. Can you talk us through your background and how you got to be the Chief Executive Officer?
Thank you, Chair. I joined the South African Police Service in 2007 as an internal auditor. It was an appointment that is called the lateral appointment. At that time, I was a senior superintendent. The current rank is a colonel. And I worked in the Free State when SAPS was establishing its internal audit units across the country. I was then appointed to head the unit in the Free State province. I was promoted as a brigadier to then head the finances in that part of the province. It was a provincial head finance. And I then also until 2015, I headed the finances in the Free State SAPS. In 2015, then I got an opportunity to be appointed in a provincial government department, still in the Free State as a CFO, the post that I only occupied for a year. And then I was reinstated back in SAPS in 2016 as a Major General, occupying the post, then it was called the Deputy Provincial Commissioner responsible for physical resources, until 2019, when I was promoted, took up the post of the Chief Financial Officer in head office in Pretoria.
Thank you. At the time of your appointment as the Chief Financial Officer, who was the National Commissioner at the time?
It was
Take us through what is the relationship between you as the CFO and that of the National Commissioner?
the National Commissioner is the accounting officer of SAPS. He's the DG. He's the head of this department. And the PFMA dictates that the accounting officer should appoint a CFO to assist him or her to execute his responsibilities or her responsibilities as outlined in terms of Part 2, Chapter 5 of the PFMA. So I'm appointed precisely to execute those responsibilities and assist the accounting officer in this regard. So I report directly to the accounting officer as the chief financial officer.
Okay. So the National Commissioner is the accounting officer in terms of the PFMA, and you are there to be able to support the role of the National Commissioner. Can you, it's already outlined in your statement, can you take us through the various things that you are responsible for as then the Chief Financial Officer reporting to the National Commissioner?
Thank you, Chair. As indicated, I'm appointed and assigned responsibilities to assist the accounting officer in terms of those responsibilities that are outlined on Chapter 5 of the PFMA Part 2. My responsibilities include budget management. I oversee the budget of the entire SAPS, expenditure management for the entire organization across the country, bookkeeping as well as reporting the financial statements are my responsibility. I also coordinate the audit issues that will include the Auditor General activities for the department. I'm also responsible for compensation services. This is managing the issues such as salaries, debtors, allowances for the entire organization. I'm also responsible for internal control as well as issues that talks to governance. I participate in the audit committee. I also chair the combined assurance. I worked very closely with the internal auditors, including the Office of the Chief Risk Officers. All the governance structures I am responsible for or oversee because to assist the accounting officer in terms of the duties that are outlined in Chapter 5.
Okay. So just taking you now to paragraph 8 of your statement, do you want to just maybe, if you want to read it into the record, you wanted to clarify really what is your role with regards to the approval of expenditure and so on? You can read it from the record or you can explain.
Yes. While I oversee financial operations, it is crucial to understand that my role does not extend to operational decisions. Operational decisions are taken by the relevant program managers that are responsible for operations and ultimately with the National Commissioner. I am not responsible for contract awards, or I do not have any direct involvement in supply chain management prior to the recent changes in terms of the structural changes. My function is to confirm that funds are available and to ensure that there is compliance to financial prescripts. I do not approve expenditures in the sense of initiating specific projects, task teams. Instead, I make recommendations as well as ensure and confirm financial viability. The only approvals I make relates to the activities that are within my division. My division is called Financial Management Services.
So as I understand what you're saying from paragraph 8 is that you are responsible for at least the definition of financial management services.
Yes.
But in relation to things such as contract awards or what operational decisions are taken, those operational decisions sit elsewhere, is that correct?
Yes. Historically, the division supply chain management was not integrated into the CFO's office. This is a separate division that is managed by Lieutenant General Fani, who is currently the divisional commissioner, and he reports directly to the National Commissioner. However, I wish to state that since May 2025, a new organizational structure has been approved, and this organizational structure then amends the reporting lines of the division supply chain management to be reporting directly to the CFO. However, this new organizational structure is yet to be implemented. This is pending processes that are unfolding gradually within the relevant restructuring committees. The implementation is ongoing and gradual. Therefore, for most of the period under discussion, supply chain management was a distinct function and it remained so pending the integration. My current performance agreement that I have signed with the National Commissioner as I report to him reflects my duties relating only to financial management services, not supply chain.
Yes. And if the committee had the benefit last week of hearing from Lieutenant General Fani in relation to issues of supply chain management, So, and also had the benefit of being able to see the organizational structure. And he also confirmed in his evidence that he reports directly in relation to supply chain issues to the National Commissioner, and you report directly in relation to finance matters to the National Commissioner.
Correct.
So, how your evidence before the committee has been structured is that you deal with essentially 3 themes. You deal with the approval and budget allocations in relation to the PKTT, which is the next topic that we're going to discuss. The second topic is you deal with your interactions with the minister, in particular Minister Mkhunu. And then the third topic, you deal with the point at which your department interacted with the health risk management contract.
Correct.
So maybe then as an overview, can you broadly give the committee an indication of how the budgets are structured or allocated within the SAPS?
Thank you, Chair. The budget as well as resource allocation follows a program structure. We have 5 programs. Program 1 that deals with everything to do with administration within the department. Program 2, which is our biggest program within our budget structure, that deals with everything to do with visible policing. Program 3, that deals with crime detection, that will include DPCI. And we then have program 4 that deals with matters that relates to crime intelligence, with the last program being program 5 that deals with protection services, that includes VIP protection. So these are the 5 main budget programs. They do have sub-programs within them. And after those sub-programs, then you will have relevant divisions, you'll have units in this regard. So that is how our budget structure in terms of programs is outlined.
Yes. So I understood you to say that program 2 is visible policing.
Yes.
Is that where task teams would be located?
That is where task teams, intervention teams, as well as project teams will be located. There is a National Operation Coordination Center that runs almost all the interventions, the task teams, as well as operations sitting within program 2.
So when you're trying to then allocate a budget in relation to task teams, or maybe we can take one step back, what is the manner in which you allocate to task teams as opposed to various units and other things that you have within the SAPS?
We do have a formal allocation methodology where we will then allocate the budget to all cost centers, but specifically to the task teams, we allocate to the National Operation Coordination Center or to a cost center that will be determined by the accounting officer in this particular regard. So all these operations, task teams and interventions are then coordinated nationally through the National Operation Coordination Center. However, there might be instances where the National Commissioner will then establish a task team or an intervention team and direct you to say the funding could be given to a specific province to deal with that particular task team or to manage it. But in the main, the budget is allocated at the National Operation Coordination Center.
Okay. And so the budget allocations for the PKTT would come then from whatever budget is made available in that National Operation Coordination Center?
It will be clearly indicated. There are various task teams, various operations as well as interventions that will be allocated. I have heard the latest to say it is 11 of such interventions. It will be allocated, it will be clearly indicated. However, when the task team started in 2018, the budget was allocated to the province, and over the years then it was allocated to the National Operations Center.
So can I just confirm, when you're talking about 2018, Are you talking now about the PKTT?
Yes.
So that's the 2018-2019 budget period?
18-19 budget, yes, at inception.
Yes. And so that initial budget was drawn, as you said, from provincial?
It was allocated nationally. It's a special allocation. It's not part and parcel of the baseline allocation of the province. It will be a special allocation. We would then establish a project code on the system to be able to track the expenditure as well as to be able to can predict the allocations linked to that particular task team.
Okay. So how many task teams do you have in the SAPS at the moment?
If I am correct, I have read somewhere that the latest is 11. 11, it's task teams / operations / intervention teams.
And in your witness statement, to focus more sharply on the issue of the PKTT and the budget and how it's been allocated over the past few years, in your witness statement, you begin to detail how the budget has been allocated. Can I ask you to, maybe for a globular view, can we turn to page 15 of your witness statement?
Okay, is it paragraph 15?
Page 15, it's table A.
Okay. Yes, I have table A.
So, can you discuss or explain to the committee what table A is intended to explain?
Okay. When I was invited to the committee chair, I was requested to provide expenditure trends for the PKTT since inception. And I was also requested to provide a comparison in terms of the PKTT and other existing task teams or intervention teams. So I have two tables. I will start with table A. This is expenditure items that were recorded for the PKTT for the different financial years since inception. You will note that the first year...
Timbani, let me maybe slow you down a little bit. You say these are expenditure items and these need to be differentiated from the allocations.
Yes.
So can you just explain what that means?
On table A, it only depicts the expenditure items. These are expenses that have been incurred since inception by the PKTT. To this end, 435 million has been spent in this regard. However, you will note that on the annexures that I have provided that supports my statement that I was also requested to provide the budget approvals in this regard. So I do have the budget approvals that I have referred to on my statement. If I am to take you through.
Can I just go back to those annexures that are in your statement? Those are those information notes over the particular years?
Yes, and allocation letters as well.
So those information notes, they depict essentially what is allocated.
Yes.
But what this table is showing is the actual expenditure that eventually then goes through.
Yes, correct.
So at the top, the overall figure you have at table A is that to date, there's been 435 million spent on the PKTT.
Correct.
Can you speak or at least discuss how that has been broken down over the particular years and what the various expenditure items are?
Okay. As indicated, table A will then depict expenditure items that were recorded for the PKTT. And I must indicate that these are the direct controllable costs that we utilize as and when we allocate funding to the various intervention teams. These are the figures that we will then utilize. You will note that since 2018-19 up to this year, September, in the last column, that your biggest cost driver in terms of the work of this team would be on the line item called overtime, as well as travel and subsistence, in the main, the accommodation. The members of the team may not necessarily come from KwaZulu-Natal. It will be members that come from head office and elsewhere, and you need to then accommodate those members and pay the accommodation fees. They do work overtime. That is why you will see those two line items being a little bit on an increased trend. You do have a few items there in terms of their incidental costs, as well as from time to time those that will require to travel, they will then travel. When you look at the last year, 25-26 on overtime, you will note that there is a zero. It does not mean that the team has not performed and claimed overtime. We will soon be processing their claims, and there will be an expenditure in relation to this financial year. So they are continuously working, currently working, and I am certain that those claims are currently being processed, and you will soon then record expenditure in that regard. So overtime, travel, as well as issues of their meals will be the line items that you will note a bit of an increase in terms of those expenditure items.
So, just to take you back, these various expenditures are the expenditure items that have been incurred over the past 6 years, throughout the lifespan of the PKTT, is that correct?
Yes.
And you've highlighted the overtime as one of the big expenditure items from the team. Can you talk to me? I see, when I look at the table, I see that travel and subsistence, then there's for accommodation, food and beverage incidental costs, and air and road travel. And they seem to make up the first four also big expenditure items that arise from the team.
Yeah, that is correct.
Is that, and this is my layman understanding, is that because the team is not a formal structure and it's drawing from different provinces, or is there a reason why that travel and subsistence is such a big expenditure item?
As I indicated, when the operational environment would agree or pick up crime patterns or crime trends in an area, any area in the country, and they sit and discuss and analyze and come to a conclusion that we need to go and stabilize that situation. Sometimes they will use the local guys, sometimes they will then deploy from all over the country based on the decisions as well as the approvals in this regard. The members of this task team are from across various environments, and you need to accommodate them as and when they go and operate in KwaZulu-Natal or operate elsewhere in the country. And you need to also ensure that there is food as well as S&T that is provided for them. And they do work hard, they do claim overtime in this particular regard. So it's not anything that is strange. This is how the work of the police is done. This is how the task teams as well as those interventions. And those task teams would have been established for a specific period to go and achieve a specific outcome. So they are temporary in nature, these interventions as well as these task teams. They are not permanent. They are established for a specific period, they are established for a specific purpose, and there will be cost estimates that will then be submitted to the National Commissioner, and the submission will come to us to confirm if funding is available. Of course, as the finance team, as myself as the CFO, occasionally there is a need for me to comment or raise concerns in relation to this. You will note that over the years...
Let me just ask you a question before you pivot in relation to that. What I'm trying to ascertain from you is the expenditure trend that we see here. Is that an expenditure trend that you would see if the team was more permanent rather than it being a task team? Or is it an expenditure trend that is one that is like this because you're dealing with an informal structure where members are coming in and out at various points?
If it was a permanent team or permanent unit, let's say for instance, it is established in KwaZulu-Natal, and I'm making an example, then you will not have a expenditure line item that is called accommodation, because members will be permanent, they will be staying in their homes. You will not see expenditure items that talks to issues of meals, because the members will be permanent at home. Safe to say that perhaps from time to time they will be required to travel elsewhere to another province on investigation, and then you will see those accommodation costs coming up if they are required to travel out of their normal station in this regard.
So obviously whether the team is a permanent or a task team is not a decision that's made by finance. It's just in relation to noting this particular expenditure trend.
It is not a decision that is made by finance. It is a decision that would be made by the accounting officer, having consulted all the relevant role players in terms of operations. That would be the head of operations, which is the deputy provincial commissioner, operations, and all the relevant role players. If, for instance, a decision is taken to say there is a stubborn crime trend in Western Cape, those decisions will be taken by the relevant operational environments, and the National Commissioner would then approve to say, we are going to intervene, let us go and stabilize that particular. So it is operational decisions. What is required from us is to support such interventions to ensure that the country is safe.
May we take Honorable Sangone?
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, General. Just a quick question for follow-up, for clarity, Chair. Before Advocate Zigalala goes off on the expenditures, I just wanted to check with the CFO. If a member is deployed, let's say from Limpopo to KwaZulu-Natal, in terms of these line items here, would that one member, for example, be eligible for overtime, accommodation, food, and a daily allowance? Can we read it like that, that they will get all of those things as okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Correct, Chair.
Thank you. I want to pivot into Table B. Is there anything in relation to Table A that you want to elaborate on or explain?
I am fine, Chair. Safe to say that all these expenditures would have been approved by the accounting officer in this regard. Those submissions do come to us to then ascertain financial viability, as well as to support the work that is done by this team.
And those information notes, for just for the purposes of the committee, are attached, the various approvals that were made over the years. Can I ask you then to turn to page 17 of your statement? And that's Table B.
Chair.
So what we looked at in Table A was the expenditure of the PKTT over the past 6 years alone. Can you tell us what Table B is explaining here?
As I indicated, Chair, on the invitation to appear before this committee, it was also requested of me to provide a comparison in terms of other existing interventions and or task teams. We are indicating on paragraph 15 that as certain crime threats emerge, the relevant national operation environments in SAPS will from time to time coordinate deployments, interventions, task teams, or operations with the primary purpose of stabilizing as well as normalizing such crime situations. Various such deployments, interventions, or task teams had been coordinated and managed by SAPS over the multiple financial years, of which only the prominent ones were deemed appropriate to be mentioned for comparative purposes. As I indicated, there is an indication that there are 11. However, for purposes of this exercise, we then deemed it necessary only to focus on those ones that are prominent and they are deemed appropriate for purposes of comparisons. So the details are indicated in terms of Table B.
So so just to clarify, though there are 11 task teams, when you're doing an analysis, trying to see, compare apples for apples, essentially, to see which interventions, which task teams you're spending money on, you essentially chose these ones, which I think is 6 on table B, to be able to do the comparison.
That is correct, Chair.
So can you just a brief description about what these various task teams and so on that you have selected to be able to do this comparison are?
So Table B indicates expenditures that were recorded for prominent SAPS national deployments, interventions, as well as task teams, etc., for different financial years. For purposes of comparisons, we then took from 2018-19. We have the first one that I have heard that it deals with the issues of illicit mining. This is an operation or an intervention that is normally called Valam Gold. You will note that this particular intervention only started in 23-24, and we have expenditure up to 25-26, up to end of September. This one, you will note that the expenditure up to date for 3 years is over R1 billion. And I will indicate to the committee that this is mainly an operation or an intervention that is funded through CARA funding. It's funding that does not come from our baseline. We are given an opportunity as the law enforcement agencies to, from time to time, approach the CARA funding committee to then request funding. The CARA committee or the CARA funding is funding that is used to assist departments. This is the criminal assets recovery account. So from time to time, the accounting officer, having assessed the financial or alternative financial sources, would approach the CARA committee. So the illicit mining or the Valam Gold intervention is funded from that particular source, and this source is not part of our baseline. It is money.
In relation to, so when we're looking at this comparison, though the various task teams are listed, and this illicit mining one is just in absolute numbers the most expensive, or the one that's cost the most at 1.1 billion.
Correct.
That 1.1 billion actually isn't coming out of the SAPS budget.
It is not.
Okay.
It is not. It is funding that was sourced through the CARA committee by the accounting officer, and we are grateful for that. And the reason why we would then go and look for alternative funding is because of the financial constraints that we find ourselves in. We have experienced financial constraints in a form of budget reductions on our operational funding. For us to be able to succeed with these operations, we from time to time have to then make funding available, and it becomes a challenge when you are faced with budget reductions in terms of operational funding. So we look at other alternative funding sources, and this is one, and as a department we are grateful for such. So this is money that was made available for us to be able to go throughout the provinces that had issues in terms of managing this crime pattern, and 1.1 billion has been utilized up to so far.
Yes. So then the next one is the 2021 unrest. So an intervention or a task team was then established. Can you just talk us through that?
Yes, during the 2021 unrest, there was a situation that needed to be contained, and obviously it could not be contained using the normal resources in those provinces that were affected. Therefore, decisions were taken to put together special interventions and special teams to go and support those provinces. You will note that then we had the bulk of the expenditure lying on 2021, and then few claims that came through in 2022 up to 24-25. These are the expenses that were incurred in support of those operations, as well as interventions in those provinces that were affected.
So what I can see from this table is that over the period in which the SAPS was dealing with that unrest, that it costs just 950 million, so just shy of $1 billion, to be able to deal with that unrest situation. And this was drawn directly from the SAPS budget.
It was drawn directly from the SAPS budget, and we needed to reprioritize because it was a situation that was confronting us. We needed to reprioritize and ensure that we contain that situation through ensuring that there are sufficient deployments and support that was provided to the provinces that were affected.
Is this just, for my layman understanding, is this what would be the classic idea of a task team, where something happens that is unexpected, like the 2021 unrest, and the SAPS have to react, and then budgets have to be reprioritized and allocated to deal with that? Is this, if one wanted to get a kind of simplified example that everyone's familiar with?
Not necessarily.